This is going to be a video of showing how the Homework 9 programs are supposed to work. The correct programs are supposed to work, and maybe we'll do a few hints along the way. Alright, so we're suggesting to do the programs in the order given here. I'm going to do this in my 151.00 account. And I do have a Homework 9 directory already where I have done my solutions there, so I'm just going to move that. Alright, so I'm going to check out the assignment and in -C. And I'm going to go back and forth looking at the file as you have it when you first check out, and the correct solution. How the correct solution works. So let's look at this first program, and this is saying to just print the command line arguments. So I will run my solution. Okay, so it just printed the name of the program. And if I have more arguments, then this here is not actually my program. That's the terminal printing what I just ran. So what's only being printed by my program is hello there 1 2 3. So those are the command line arguments, and you get those from sys.argv. So you're going to have to do something with sys.argv here. And one thing you can do is you could start by printing it and go from there. It's a list. And you want to print all the parts of the list except the first thing in the list is this one, which you don't want to print. And there is there's a program in the recipes directory that you might want to look at. We'll look at it over here. Args. So this is an example of using the command line arguments. If you haven't seen that yet, you might want to pause and look at it. Okay, the second program to run to solve is args add. Okay, and this is actually just asking you to copy this program, and you can either do that by, I already have it here, so I'll copy paste. Okay, so this is a program that was worked on in the 9 a.m. section, and we can run it to see what it does. Okay, so if I just run it as it is, it prints a usage statement that's telling us we're supposed to give a number and plus and another number. So I'll do that. And you can see here what it's printing out. Okay, so it's printing out 3 plus 3 equals 6. All right, and I think that should be Python 3. There we go. That looks better. 3 plus 3 equals 6. Okay. Okay, so you could have copy-pasted here, or you could this thing here, we could copy it on the terminal. but I don't want to just do dot here. It's supposed to be called args add. Okay, so there was a mistake there. All right, so that's just copying the file, and then once you have that in, you could look at how it works. This is a short example of using the command line arguments and things that you will normally need to do. You import sys. You check the arguments to make sure there's enough. You might check some more things than just the number of arguments. So here, the second thing, the second real argument is supposed to be the string plus, and then whatever we want to do with the arguments is done. Okay, that's args add. So then we go on to args in. And this one here, let me run it. Okay, so I run it and I give it a string and another string, and it's looking to see is the first string contained within the second one as a substring. So does appear within the second string. That's a yes. This does not appear within is, so that's a no. All right, in order to do this, you need to look at sys.argv bracket 1 and sys.argv bracket 2 and use the string in operation. So you can say is in this, and it expects a string and another string, and it's going to give true or false. Okay, that's how args in is supposed to work. Go back here and see the next one we're supposed to work on is range. Okay, so range. Let's look at what range is supposed to do. So it's supposed to take its 3 command line arguments, start, stop, and step, and print numbers in the range. So there it printed 1 up to 9, but if I do, let's say, 5 to 100 by 5s, it's using the range function and a for loop to print these. So the range function, you can give it 3 parameters. Now you need to get these from the command line arguments. And you already have args add where you can see using command line arguments. So you're going to read in the command line arguments. There should be 3. So you'd use indexes 1, 2, and 3, and then you would use those variables in your range in your for loop. Okay, the next one, file. Okay, this is just asking to read a file. I don't want to print file.py. Okay, so what this one just did was it opened this file, read its contents, and printed them out. And a program that you might want to look at as an example of how to read a file in recipes, read file. So here, this program has read the Shakespeare file. f.read will read the entire contents of the file and store it into a string, and then you could do whatever you want to with the string. This question here is asking you to do just like this, but then print the string, and this command line argument is supposed to be the file that you read. So you're going to have similar code to this, but in the open, you're going to use sys.argv bracket 1, which is the first real argument after the name of the program itself. Okay. Next one to look at is words. All right, so for this one, you can already read a file from the last problem. You're going to read a file here as well. But then you're also going to count occurrences of each word. And let's just run the correct solution. Let's see. Okay, so what's printed here is a count for each word, and I looked at the file.py. For the purpose of the words, anything that's together before a space or a new line is considered a word. So we see pound, this business is considered a word. We have a appear as a word twice. Is there anything that appears? There's also the and file. So there's the and there's file. Okay, so things you need to do. You need to read the file in. That is like the file.py. Count the occurrences of each word. You need to use the string.split function, and you need to look at an example from class where we did this. This one. Okay, so this one here, we did counting of each letter. This one, in this program, in the words, we want to count each word. Okay, so those are your hints. That you want to do something like your file.py. You want to do something like this once you read in the file as a string, but then you're also going to want to use the .split function to split the string into words. So if you have a string and you call, let's say, x equals s.split, now x is a list of the different words, and you could use that in a for loop instead of the string. Okay. And if you want to see some other examples, you can look all of the test files. So the problems themselves come from this directory. All of the test files come from this directory, and we're on words. So you can see which file it's going to look at. So it's going to look at lorem1.txt, and that's a file in this directory actually. So and you can see what the correct output is. The 5 times, and then there's other test files here that you can look at. That is words. You can also submit your solution. So we can look for words, And after you've made some kind of change, it'll show you that it's not correct on lorem 1. The correct output, the reference output is this. My program didn't output anything. And then you can copy and paste this file name here. And look at it in whatever text editor you use. Okay. Next up is numbers. All right, the numbers says to take a file. All right, there's going to be a file name that you're going to read the file. For this one, you're going to read the file and then split it into lines, split it into numbers, and and save those numbers into a list and sort. So there's a number of things that you're going to want to need, but let's go ahead and look at an example first. I'll go over here where the correct information is. So cat numbers. So this first test file is looking at the num1.txt file. So if this is the input, right, so the command line argument is this right here. That's the name of a file to read. Inside of that file are these numbers. And then the correct output is this here. So it read in the numbers and sorted them. All right, in order to do that, open the file and read all integers into a list. You can use the string.split function. That's one way to do that. And convert with int. Right, .split is going to give you a list of strings. Each of those strings you will convert with the int function. Don't worry about this right now. When you're going to sort, so if you have a list of integers, you convert them. You have the list of integers, you can use the list.sort command. That will sort a list. All right, this error business, it doesn't want your program to crash, so let me go. If I run my program and I tell it to use this file as my input, it says error unable to open files. It doesn't just crash. If you, let's look at our recipe for read file. If you try to open a file that doesn't actually exist, Python will crash. This is not a crash, that's an error statement. So in order to do this, use try except, which is in the book. So you'll need to have your code inside of a try except. This one here says that the text file might have things that are not numbers. If it has something that's not a number and you try to convert it with int, you'll get an error. So you can use try except for that as well. So when you get to that part, don't worry about the errors until you have everything working just in the normal case. And then you can look up try except to see how to do checking for errors. All right, now the last program is people.py. All right, this is saying that you're going to have two files, a CSV, that's a comma separated variable length string file. And the second one is another file. So I want to go look at what these files look like. All right, so one of these is a CSV file. Okay, so the first file is going to look like this. When you read it in, then this will be what's in the string. And there's different ways to read files, but you want to split based on new lines. So you want each line to be a separate thing in your list, but then also you're going to split based off the comma. So there's going to be a name, comma, and then an email address. Okay, and this gives some hints on the basic strategy to use. You want to do it piece by piece, as always. Take the command line arguments and just print the file. Okay, and then the next thing that you'll need to do is split it into lines with .split. And then after you get that to work, then you want to split each line with .split into a name and an email address and print them. And then keep following the instructions in the file. If we look at what the correct program looks like, so I'll run my correct program, and if I tell it people.csv and people.py.1.in, so these are different files that have, so let's take a look at people.py.1.in. Okay, so lookup 3 is what we're looking at. lookup.txt. All right, so if we look at the lookup.txt, that second file is some names to look up that we read in from the other file. So the way the correct program works is it goes through that lookup file of names, and if it finds the name in the data read in from the CSV file, you print the email address, otherwise you say user not found. All right, that is all of the programs. As always, once you get a little bit of the program, you want to run it, make sure it does what you think. When you think you're close to the final answer, you want to homework check your answers, and you can look at what it prints out. If you haven't worked on the file, it'll just say that you haven't worked on it. Otherwise, it'll give you an input that it ran on, and what the correct output was, and what my program didn't do anything there. But I can cat that file. This was the file. All right, so for each of the programs, if it says your program is wrong, remember it'll give you what the input was that the file was wrong on. Okay, good luck.